Hello, I want to welcome you to this amazing lecture on Aztec food and drink, although it's only one drink that we're talking about. Our primary focus is going to be maize, but the Mexica, who you know as the Aztecs, ate a bunch of amazingly healthy and nutritious foods, mostly fruits and vegetables. Now we're going to end this brief lecture, with Pulque, which is the principal alcoholic drink. Make clear and understand that at least 70% of the Mexica diet was maize. I'm not a math major, but that seems like a lot. Corn as a primary basis for sustenance. Again, they ate this corn through a bunch of different methods like tortillas, tlacoyos, tamales, pozole, atole, which is a corn drink, and with la coche, which is technically a fungus, like my ex-girlfriend's toes, but it's also a delicacy. It's like a truffle. So it may sound nasty, that's a corn fungus, but it actually tastes amazing and it's good for you. Now they ate many, many other foods. We'll talk about some of them, not all of them, but it's important to note that these right here are corn-based foods. The question, of course, where does corn come from? Where does maize come from? Hannibal Lecter knows. Hello, maize. All right, here we go. Maize was invented by Mexicans some 7,000 to 2,000 years. So 7,000 to 2,300 BCE. Maybe as late as 9,000 BCE. Probably a better guess is around 3,500 BCE. But again, we are absolutely not sure. What is clear is that maize was invented. It's a new crop. It was invented by Mexicans. Corn was invented by Mexican farmers, cross-breeding wild grasses for thousands of years until an entirely new species, corn, was invented and domesticated. And you see on the right side of the screen actual footage of Mexicans domesticating maize. Maize would not exist without ancient Mexican farmers. It became the main staple crop in Mesoamerica, then all of the Americas. And maize is the root of many, many popular foods in Mexico. But it was teosinte, a small wild grass that is probably provided the genetic base for maize. Teosinte is probably, again, we are not sure, but it is probably the founder plant that Mexicans crossbred to invent maize. It grows naturally throughout present-day Mexico and parts of Central America, and teosinte shares a common ancestry with maize. That means that it's compatible, and that means that more than likely it was teosinte that set the foundation of a wild grass turned into the grass corn. Obviously, a teosinte is much smaller. You can see the natural progression and evolution from teosinte on the left through the genetic changes to a much larger maize on the right, which is able to feed a lot more people than teosinte possibly can. Here's another great image that shows the evolution and crossbreeding from a small wild grass teosinte to hybrid offsprings to big fatter maize. Remember, maize is a new species and obviously looks much different and larger than the itty bitty teosinte. Here's another natural progression from the small teosinte to a much fatter and larger and nutritious maize. And in the background, you can see the teosinte stalk and the maize stalk juxtaposed. Size matters, believe me. You see the maize is thicker, darker, produces more food, larger tassels. I mean, if you're trying to feed a growing population, maize is your go-to. Teosinte is the X. It's cute, but it's time to move on. It's the maize, darker, thicker, producing more, that's gonna provide the nutrients for a thriving populations in Mexico. In this case, this lecture mostly about the Mexica. I'm sure you mostly seen yellow. Natural corn is beautiful and comes in a bunch of different gorgeous colors. Now, look at these gorgeous shades of purple. And just like Mexicans today, Mexicans are a rainbow of fruit flavors, and it's a rainbow of maize flavors. They're diverse and colorful, just like all my exes. There are hundreds and possibly more than 1,000 different types of maize, and this only includes the maize in Mexico. So maize is amazing. There's amazing diversity in this Mexican maize. And corn is amazing and beautifully diverse and literally thrives in diversity. You have the blues and the reds and the yellows and then the greens. This amazing food created by or invented by Mexicans. Again, it's one of the most colorful and hearty foods in the world. There's an amazing shot of heirloom blue masa made into tlacoyos. Again, not only is corn beautiful, it's a healthy food and it's superior, better to old, quote unquote, old world foods. Corn produces 2 times the yield as wheat, which helps the Aztecs build into one of the greatest and most populous cities in the freaking world. According to Ortiz de Amontillano, corn grows in areas too dry for rice and too wet for wheat. Maize also passes through the gut without losing a lot of its nutrients, and is better digested if it's soaked in the slime and water solutions. And for those of you making tortillas at home, you know that making tortillas today is essentially the same as it was making tortillas 500 or 1,000 years ago. You know, if it ain't broke, kind of a don't fix it approach. You take the corn off the cob, you soak the corn. Number 1, you soak the corn, it becomes malleable. Number 2, you shape the masa, usually with a metate. And number 3, you cook the masa. Number 4, our favorite, is that you eat the masa. You eat the corn finished product. Here's a picture of the Codex Mendoza. It shows a mother teaching her daughter how to make tortillas using the metate made out of stone. And here she is transferring into my grandma. Here's another great image that has a complete cycle from soaking to cooking on a comal. And there it is, all in one shot. One shebang-a-bang. And yes, the Mexica had popcorn. Of course they did. And the Mexica also ate tamales, right? That's where you cook the masa. You put the masa back into the corn husk, and then you cook it. And then you eat that motherfucker, right? Of course, you can put anything else you want inside the masa. A lot of people today, right? Pork, chicken, right? This is a time-treasured tradition that goes back for centuries and probably much longer. But tamales are ancient Mexican food. Here's the tamales with the leaf coverings instead of the corn huskers. The Aztecs also ate mole, which is a rich, thickish sauce made with chiles, and it's freaking amazing. There are different colors, but the Aztecs ate mole. The Aztecs ate pozole, which is a soup, which is another dark reddish soup made with chiles. It's the hominy that makes pozole. Hominy is made from corn, soaked in a caustic kind of a lye solution, and it makes this beautiful soup, great for hangovers. I don't know. I don't drink, but my friends told me it's great for hangovers, and it's just an amazing, tasteful food. Maize is so amazing. Maize is so amazing and so popular and great that by 1492, maize is grown from Canada to Chile. Right? It has spread throughout all the Americas. All right, let's move forward. So, very important slide here. This is the Mexica staple crops. This is their core diet, the core of their diet. Maize, again, is 70% of this Aztec diet, planted in the 3 sixters intercropping method in order to improve their growth. You may have seen this before. The squash helps remove the weeds. The beans help to provide more nitrogen to the soil. So you have maize, followed by squash, beans, and amaranth, which is a very popular grain. It's sacred and religious overtones, and one of the reasons you've probably not heard of it because the Spanish um, outlawed it. Probably because amaranth was made into religious idols as well. But amaranth as a staple crop of Mexica food. Now let's add a few more to the previous list. Add beans, chilies, manioc, which is a root. Doesn't look delicious, but it's very nutritious. We'll add carrots, cacao, peanuts, and several cacti, including the agave and the prickly pear, sunflowers. Remember, the Mexica or Mexican diet is incredibly diverse and healthy. Now, let's be very careful with the slide, but it is one thing that I really like. It makes clear ancient Native Americans like the Mexica ate incredibly healthy foods with substantially more fiber. Today, the Institute of Medicine recommends 25 grams of fiber a day. Most people are only getting about 15 grams of fiber, while ancient natives ate some 200 to 400 grams of fiber every day. That's a lot of fiber for the natives out there that I'm speaking to, Native Mexicans, Native Americans. You are born and bred of high fiber diets. You want to decolonize, get back to a plant-based high fiber diet. Here's another important slide. Let's talk about meats. Mexica meats. Now, there's many meats available to them, such as armadillo, turkeys, turtles, rabbits, tapir, ton of different types of fowls, and venison. Now, let's be clear that you need to know that there are no cows in Mexico. There are no donkeys. There's no horses. There's no lambs. There's no pigs. There's no other meats that you'll find at a King Taco or any other Mexican restaurant today. These did not exist pre-1492. They weren't there. So like other people, they ate what was available to them, including these meats that we talked, and yes, the perros también, right? Now, I still want to kind of argue that meat is highly available. It is probably somewhat rare. It is probably mostly elite, and it definitely is more ceremonial. In any manner, be clear that the Mexica are not meat eaters in the way Americans are meat eaters today. Meat is available, though. Now, they ate a lot of different types of fowls, right? There's at least more than 30 different kinds, including turkeys. Ancient Mexicans, again, were the first to domesticate turkeys. Quail, which you'll see on the screen too, was another luxury fowl. They taste great. And here you can see Mexica men hunting ducks with their nets, and the nets are a gift from their patron god Huitzilopochtli. You can see the fishermen capturing fish with the nets and the spear. The Aztecs ate about 1 million ducks per year, and they caught about 3 million fishes per year. They also ate fresh and then saltwater fishes también. More foods available within the capital city of Tenochtitlan. You got the fish, frogs, the lizards, different types of tadpoles, larvae, and different types of insects like crickets. Now, they have a ton of nutritious. They are becoming actually more popular these days. Don't knock it till you try it. They're a little crunchy, though. I'll give you that. But with enough salsa, you really, they don't taste like anything. But they are nutritious. Here's another photo I like to look at. It's amazingly colorful. It's beautiful. And it's indicative of how healthy the Aztec diet was. With an average of about 2,629 calories per day, according to Ortiz Montaño, you get a sense of how healthy they were, how much high protein, high fiber diets. And remember, this is ancient humans, so that means that they worked out a lot and they burned off plenty of these calories. And that's why they were very healthy and very ripped people. Avocados, they're amazing, and they're just like me. They're the good type of fat, not the bad type of fat. They're a great tasting superfood and they got tons of vitamin. Cacao is another amazing food. Uh, uh, Used by ancient Mexicans. And now, again, this is where you think of chocolate. They get it through the amazing plant cacao, which is, again, crossbred by ancient Mexicans, right? Cacao was produced very similar to corn. And you see this Diego Rivera excerpt, right? You get a guy apparently in his 20s, right? You take down the pod, you open the pod, you take out the seeds, you grind the seeds with the metate, you ferment it, and then it's dried. In this slide, you'll see the cacao pods and then the smaller seeds found inside. Very important. Cacao, or the chocolate, was not eaten. We are talking about a drink. We are talking about a brothy, foamy, bitter, and probably very bitter drink. Still great tasting, but this is not a chocolate bar. This wasn't a Reese's or whatchamacallit. It definitely wasn't milk chocolate. This is a cacao, foamy, brothy kind of drink. But again, very healthy. A lot of great nutrients in cacao. Here's a Mayan ruler enjoying the rich flavors of cacao. Look at the foam. Here you see King 8 Day receiving cacao from his wife, 13 Snake, in the Codex Notal, and then the ritual drinking of cacao from the Codex Borgia. Very important drink. Now, again, what you can add all these amazing flavors to cacao, including chilies, or especially chilies, honey, and cinnamon. Let's talk about vanilla. Mesoamerica also had vanilla. Wow, what didn't they have? A member of the orchard family, native of South and Central American and Caribbean, first cultivated by the Totonacs. And by the way, vanilla is brown. It is not white. That goes to show you how damn colonized you are. Vanilla is brown, just like all my exes. Next food that they had was chia seeds. Yeah, chia seeds. They are amazingly nutritious. They taste like nothing. They are basically tasteless, but they are good for you. They're small, easy to grow, and include a ton of benefits like omega-3s, antioxidants, and fiber. And it's become a kind of a trendy superfood, but they're extremely healthy. Ancient superfoods of the Aztecs. Muy tacky, pero it's very true. There's another great superfood. Although you can definitely taste this food. It tastes like kind of grass, maybe wheatgrass, right? Spirulina is essentially an algae, right? It maybe tastes like wheatgrass. It's basically an algae. It's basically pond scum. It's collected on the top of lakes, in this case, Lake Texcoco. And I don't know who was the first person that said, hey, you see that scum right there? Yeah, let's eat that. But turns out it is amazingly nutritious and it's making a comeback. Now, spirulina is often collected, then dried, and then can be eaten in many forms, as in a cake that you see here, or what a Spaniard describe as cheese. Now, believe me, it ain't cheese. If you ever see cheese like this, that's freaking nasty. But it can look in that form. Spirulina has about 60 to 70% protein, and that's why, again, the Mexica were ripped. It has other vitamins. It's a great food. Spirulina, check it out. All right, last thing that we'll talk about is pulque. Pulque is my favorite drink. I don't drink, but my friends tell me it's good for you. Pulque is the principal alcoholic drink for the Mexica. Clear, there is no tequila yet. There is no mezcal yet. There is pulque, which comes from the agave plant. It's a great drought-resistant plant found in many parts of Mexico. So not only is this the most common intoxicant, like many Aztec food, it is vitamin-rich también. It's good for you. That's the only reason why I drink today, because, for the vitamins. The same juice from the agave could be drank without fermentation, and therefore it wouldn't have any alcoholic effect. But if it's fermented, like all things should be, then it becomes alcoholic, and that's pulque. Without the alcohol, then it's just aguamiel. So this drink is medicinal. It's great for stomach problems like chorro, right? It's medicinal. It's good for you. One maguey plant can take 8 to 10 years to mature. It can then produce 60 to 90 gallons of pulque. Remember, the juice needs to be fermented in order it to become alcoholic. And the last image you see rising is the Aztec maguey goddess. Now, the juice can be collected old fashioned, siphoned off, or it can be scooped by hand. And the end product that you'll get off a fully processed pulque will be an alcohol content of about 4 to 6%. It's about an average beer today. So we'll end in this last slide, and pulque is from any agave plant that has to be fermented. Now, the reason why it's not tequila or mezcal, because those are post-conquest foods or drinks, right? And the Aztecs did not know the process of distilling. Pulque, now there were other alcoholic drinks, but that's what makes pulque pulque, and tequila tequila, and mezcal mezcal. All right, I'm gonna go grab some drinks and food. Have a great day. Do not go to. I was gonna make a. All right, never mind. Just have a great day.